We're at another Wednesday. Can you believe that? Another week has gone by, so we have more projects to show. I'm going to start small and then show you some of the larger things that I managed to start at least over this past week. First of all, I made some scrunchies. These are just the velvet scrunchies. Have not woven in the ends yet. I'm trying to make a set of 3, so I still need to do a green scrunchie. Sets of 3 holiday inspired. So I'm doing red, silver, and green, which I haven't started yet, those green ones. And then I'm going to bundle them up for the Etsy shop because scrunchies do tend to sell fairly well. These are a super simple type project. They don't take very long. You just need one of those elastic hair ties. These happen to be, I think I used white. You just cover a round, you cover those elastic hair ties with one round, and then you work double or treble crochets. Kind of depends on how roughly and how big you want your scrunchie to be. So I got 4 of those done. I'm just using the Bernat velvet yarn. It's a really soft type yarn. Works super well for scrunchies. And scrunchies are a wonderful, quick project for holiday markets, for regular markets, for Etsy shops, for gifts. And it's sort of that quick gratification because they don't take very long and you have something to show for your work fairly quickly. So I've got 4 of those done. I need to do 2 in green, and then I want to do 1 more set of each color at least. So this is just kind of something that I picked up in the middle of doing something else just to keep my hands busy, and I wound up with 4. So not too bad on that. Next up is sort of a trial project that I saw a clip on. I think it was Pinterest. It might have been Instagram. I don't remember. It was one of those nights you're just scrolling, and this video popped up, and it was for a crochet bracelet. Now, excuse the mess. I know I have ends to weave in. There are so many ends. These are all just individual circles. So I'm basically just creating a ring and then crocheting. I don't even remember what I did for these. Maybe I'd have to count, maybe 8, 10, 12 even in that ring. But you have so many ends because I'm doing different colors, and just the nature of having individual circles or shapes. You've got the starting end and then you've got the end that you cut at the end. So that's why this looks like a mess. I don't hate it though. I don't hate it. I didn't see an actual tutorial on the video or the clip that I saw. I'm sure there's one out there. I just kind of said, that's interesting. Let me try it. And this is what I came up with. So it would just be a bracelet. I used some of that like elastic string or plastic string that kids use for, I don't know, like the pony bead bracelets and things like that. The only thing I don't like about this is that it's really hard to get a good knot and tie so that the bracelet or whatever you're making is secure. So I haven't finished this one by any means. I haven't even really tightened it up. You can see it's still really loose. And in fact, that knot probably is coming undone somewhere in here. But it's not a bad idea. And if I can come up with something that works, that's unique and different, then I might post that and do just a quick little tutorial if people are interested in like unique type gifts for anybody. This is definitely a unique type of gift. And once you get the idea down, you could probably turn it into something else. I mean, you could make a bracelet with it. You can make a necklace with it. Maybe you could turn it into something for like one of those 18-inch American Girl dolls. I don't know. We'll see. So this is still a work in progress. But I did want to share with you because it is something that I worked on this week. And next up, the continuous crochet tree garlands. I just did a video on how many of these I could make. Turns out I could only make 3, spoiler alert, 3 garlands for a total of 18 trees in one day. Not great, not my best work by any means, but it is 3 more tree garlands than I had last week at this time, so I'll take it. Again, these are super fun. I have a tutorial for this on my channel. No ends to weave in because the ends can be tied to that starting and finishing little loop. So I just kind of knotted a few times at the very end around that base of that loop and cut my yarn, and no ends, no yarn needle, and you have really nice, simple tree applique continuously made on a chain. So these garlands are really fun, easy, fairly quick. I mean, the applique itself doesn't take very long, but making a bunch on a chain takes just a little bit longer, depending on how many appliques you're making in total. You could certainly add more than 6 appliques on a chain. You could add less. You could just make the appliques, and they're a granny stitch, so they do work up really quickly. So I made 3 of these, and this was just made with 4 weights. I think it was the Red Heart acrylic yarn, and you can use any size hook, any yarn that you want for those. Super fun, easy, highly recommend. I do have other continuous chain garland tutorials. I've got a snowflake, I've got a pumpkin, I think I've got a leaf, I might have a bunny rabbit. I've got a bunch. So I'm gonna link that playlist in this video so it's easy to find, and all of those will be in that playlist. As I was working on those garlands, trying to get as many made as I could in one day, I went into my yarn closet, which is actually just a walk-in closet, and I have shelves where I keep my yarn. Since I don't have a proper craft room, my yarn is just, it is where it is. It's out of the way. That's not to say that there's not yarn and things kind of floating around the rest of the house in other areas, but for the most part, most of my yarn is put in that closet. So I walked in there to get something and I saw a yarn that just jumped out at me. It's a 6 weight, 5/6 weight, I think it's wool. We'll take a look at it in a second. Chunky yarn, and I said, I want to knit a hat. So we started knitting a hat. Again, super quick project, as quick as far as knitting goes. I started this late Sunday night, and I only worked on it for like maybe an hour at a time, Sunday night, and then Monday night and Tuesday night. I just have another inch or so to go before I can start decreasing, and then it'll be done. But just look at those colors. It's a rib stitch, so knit, purl all the way around, and it's working up fabulously. It's super soft. Here is what I have left. So it is a Wool Ease by Lion Brand. There's only 87 yards in one of these, and I only had 1 ball of it. I've had this one for quite a while. I don't even know if they still make this colorway, which is called Astroland. So here is the colorway, and it does say it's a 6 weight super bulky, 80% acrylic, 20% wool. So you can kind of feel that wool in there, but it's not bad. And I really like how the colors are working up. Nice and stripy, if you like that. I do also like the randomness of some sort of, variegated yarns, putting that with something else. I do like that random pattern that those create, but I do also like the stripes, and these colors are pretty cool. So I should be able to finish that tonight. So I'm not finished with this yet, but this will be done today. And finally, one more thing to show you. This is not a finished project, and there's still a lot of work to be done on it. Now I've got to be really careful with it because I have 3 balls of yarn going on this project, and I don't want to get them all twisted and tangled because I've already been on the struggle bus with that in this project quite a few times. All right, so here is the blanket, the stitch pattern. I think I was mentioning this in the last What Did I Make Wednesday video, that I had the stitch pattern in my mind and I just had to kind of start working it up to see how it would work up, get the stitch multiple and the colorways and things like that. But basically it is single crochet, a row of double crochet, then we've got another row of double crochet, which would be this green here, and you just work 2 into the same stitch, and then you would skip the next stitch, and then you work a spike stitch on the following row, and then a single crochet row, double crochet row, and then it all repeats over and over again. And by using the 3 colors and the way that I'm doing the pattern repeat for this, every row, so every single crochet row is going to be a different color. So the first single crochet row was in this sort of burgundy, and then I have a double crochet row, 2 double crochet in 1, and then my spike stitch in that burgundy, and then the next single crochet row is that beige off-white color. Then the next single crochet row way up here is going to be in the green. And by doing that, you get an interesting colorway. Now you don't have to do that, and I will explain that when this tutorial comes out. You can do all single crochets in colorway A, all double crochet rows in colorway B. You can definitely do it that way. I just really liked having those rows alternate. And I'm carrying the yarn up the side because we're going to put a border on, so you don't have to cut your yarn. There's not going to be a lot of ends to weave in if you do it this way. If you go with less colors or more colors, you definitely will have to be cutting your ends and then weaving those in. It'll be a little bit more work that way. But so far, I'm really enjoying this blanket. I love the fact that there are different stitches on each row so I don't get bored. And while they're all very simple stitches, you've got your single crochet row. I know the next row is going to be a double crochet, and then the next row is going to be the 2 double crochet in 1 and skip 1, repeat. So even if you set this work down, as I've done quite a few times, I know what row will come next. So this is my double crochet row that I finished up on. My next row is going to be the 2 double crochet in 1 and skip 1. Once you get the pattern down, it's pretty easy. I'd say the only difficult part is keeping your yarns separated so they don't get all tangled, and just remembering how to start and finish some rows to make sure that your stitch count remains on track and the same, and you don't accidentally increase or decrease stitches, because that can be very easy to do on a project like this. So that tutorial hopefully will be coming out very soon, depending on how quickly I can get this done and get the border. And then I'm going to do a small stitch pattern tutorial for you guys in the near future. And that wraps it up for what I made this week. Not a whole lot, but also some. I'm happy with my progress. It's been a busy week. We had snow. We were cleaning up from Halloween. I started organizing some closets, which started me into organizing other things and wanting to move some furniture around. So with all of these other things going on, I think I did pretty well for this week. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Happy crocheting, happy knitting, happy crafting, happy Wednesday, everyone. Bye.